Imagine taking a boring photo like this and in a couple of seconds having a real 3D model you can spin, zoom and send to clients without touching Blender, coding or any 3D software at all. Right now, brands are paying agencies thousands to turn photos into 3D assets for Shopify, ads, AR objects and architecture previews. In this video, I will show you how to build your own image to 3D AI system without code that does this on autopilot from a simple form. All step by step. And I even provide you the complete template. And here's the best part. You don't need to understand APIs, JSON or any of that scary stuff. I built a plug and play template that you can drop into your n8n account, connect your API keys, and it's only 2, and you're done. Take a photo, hit submit, let the AI do the heavy lifting, and you get your downloadable 3D file you can open in any viewer like this, or even in Chrome or any other browser. Plus, you can print these models directly with a 3D printer. This is perfect if you run an e-commerce store and want 3D views without complicated tools, work with real estate or architecture clients and need fast proof of concept, or you want to offer a new high-value service as an AI automation freelancer or agency. By the end of the video, you will have a full system that takes an image, runs it through AI to get all necessary prompts, sends it to a 3D model generator, waits until the model is ready, and saves the finished file for you or your client. All inside one clean n8n workflow. And as a bonus, I will do a full cost breakdown of this workflow by the end of the video and even show you an alternative to make even more complex 3D models with less effort, but there's a catch. So stick until the end to find out why. By the way, my name is Ed. I teach AI automation and run a school community called AI Space, where we build tools like this. Inside the AI Space community, you get templates, deep dives, and support so you can build and sell these automations faster. And in this video, I will walk you step by step through the whole system. No fluff, no theory. We start from scratch, connect everything together, and you will literally watch it to create your first 3D model from a simple image. And at the end of the video, I will show you how you can package this into a simple offer that you can sell to your first client this month. If this sounds good, listen closely and let's build your first AI-powered 3D model generator. But before we start, I want to give you a brief overview of the whole automation. It's pretty simple, even though it looks a little intimidating at the first glance. The heart of our engine is the 3D model generator. For that, we use the multi-3 to 3D model generator from Fal AI. This generator is pretty good because it can give you from different input images perfect 3D models like you can see here. The only downside is you need the front image, left image, back image, and right image, and like in this format. And like you can imagine, most images online aren't like this, or for most products you don't have all these views. To get around this limitation, we are using n8n Pro, and it's used here in this part. With n8n Pro we create a front view, back view, left view and right view. Let's look at this previous run. Here in the left view, for example, when you open this URL, we see the leather jacket perfectly from the side, even though we never provided this kind of image. For n8n to correctly work, we need a prompt and also a reference image. Both we provide here in this first part. This part analyzes the images that you provide here and creates the prompts for n8n Pro here. And this part uploads these images temporarily, so we can provide it to n8n. So yeah, and that's the whole workflow. And when you click here, execute workflow, a form pops up where you can simply select the images that you like. For example, this one, click open and click submit. Then the whole workflow runs and gives you as the output the 3D model. And without further ado, let's get started. First we go to n8n.io and create an account here by clicking get started. If you already have an account, click sign in. Once you're signed in, click create workflow.
First, let's give this workflow a name like image to 3D model. Next, make sure to open the Google Docs document linked in the description below because it contains all the snippets and materials you will need to follow along with this tutorial. The first step we have to add is a simple form. We click add first step and select on form submission. For the form title, we choose image to 3D model generator, then leave the description empty and add a form element. The only form element we need is one which downloads files, so we name it product images. In the element type, we select file, and for the accepted file types, we add .jpg, .png, .jpeg to cover all image formats. As the last step, we add the form path option and type 3D generator to clarify the use case in the URL. We also rename the node to submit product images to bring more clarity inside n8n. Now we can go back to the canvas and test our workflow. Perfect. The form element works. For testing purposes, we also send in those 3 images of a leather jacket. In the next step, we want to get a description of the image, therefore add an AI agent and rename it to Image Analyzer. Then, in the source for the prompt, select Define below and paste in the prompt from the Google Docs. What the prompt does is basically generate a description of all sides of an object like the front, back, left, and right. Now also tick the box to require a specific output format and enable the option Pass through binary images. Next, go back to Canvas. In the following step, we need a chat model to execute the description, so add Open Router. This requires credentials, so click Create New Credentials. As you can see, we need an API key. Go into the Google Docs document, open the link for Open Router. It's a service that gives you access to all the best LLMs with one API key, usually at the same or better price than the native providers. Once you're signed up, open the menu on Open Router and navigate to Keys. There you'll see an option to create an API key. Click it, choose any name you like, set an expiration date that fits your needs, and then generate the key. After the key is created, copy it to your clipboard. Go back to n8n, paste the key into the credentials field, and save it. When the connection shows as successful, your integration is active. Just remember to add about $5 in credits to your Open Router balance. Now you can select the model you want. For this tutorial, we'll use GPT-5. Now return to Canvas. We need a structured output, so click Output Parser, select Structured Output Parser, rename it to Output Example, and paste in the snippet from the Google Docs. This tells the AI agent exactly what output format we want. The next step is to test everything. Therefore, execute the step in the Image Analyzer, wait a bit, and you should see on the output side the 4 prompts of the different sides. But now we want to upload our images to another website. Therefore, search for the code node and add it to the workflow. Connect the node to Submit Product Images, then rename it to Split Out Product Images. After that, paste in the code from the Google Docs. This code splits the 3 images into separate items, which allows each image to be processed individually. Then go back to the canvas and add a loop node, because the URL for each image needs to be obtained one at a time. Rename this loop to Loop Over Images, so it is clear what its purpose is. Go to the canvas again, add an HTTP request node, and name it Upload Images Temporarily. Click Import curl, and paste in the corresponding curl command from the Google Docs. In the input data field, set the field name to data, all lowercase. Now execute this step and wait for the result. A URL should appear. Copy the URL and paste it into the browser. The image from the beginning should now be displayed on a temporary hosting service. This temporary link will be replaced later in the workflow. Now return to n8n, and then add an aggregate node to bring all the image URLs back together. Under aggregate, simply choose all item data. For the set output field, type in images. Next, under include, choose specified fields, and finally for the included fields, enter data. Again, go to the canvas. To convert the temporary links into direct access URLs, add a set node and name it image URLs. Add a field, name it image_URLs, and paste in the snippet from the Google Docs. This snippet adds /dl to the end of each link, which turns the link into a direct image URL. To test this, click Execute step, wait for the output, copy the resulting URL, and paste it into the browser. The image should open directly. Go back to n8n, so for the final step, add a merge node. Set the mode to combine, and for combine by, select all available options. Connect this merge node to the image analyzer as well. Execute this step, and the output should now contain both the description and the URLs together. Finally, pin the data so that future tests will retain these outputs. Don't forget to save your workflow so nothing gets lost when you refresh. Now we want to add Fal AI to our workflow. Search for the set node, add it, and name the node settings. Then click Add Field and name the field fal_AI_API_key, all uppercase. As you probably already guessed, we now need the Fal AI API key, with which we will then create our 3D model. Go to the Google Docs and click the Fal AI link at the top. If you don't already have an account, sign up. Once you are in the dashboard, you'll see that you need to add credits. About $5 should be enough for the beginning. Then go to Manage, where you'll find API keys. Click Add Key, then Create Key to generate a new API key. And once it appears, simply click Copy Key to copy it to your clipboard. Now go back to n8n and paste it into the set node. After that, return to the canvas. Now at first we want to create the front view. Therefore, search for an HTTP node, add it, then go into the node and name it Create Front View. Next step is to click Import curl and paste in the curl from the Google Docs. Now, as you can see, we need, for example, the key. We get this from the settings node, so go into the settings node and click Execute Step. Because we have a form trigger that takes files, even though we pinned data, we must send the files again. If it takes a long time, I recommend pinning the data of the image analyzer too, but then you have to unpin the merge node, so future runs are faster. Now go back into the Create Front View node. Under Authorization, erase the placeholder for the key and search on the left side under the settings input for the API key. Once you find it, drag and drop it into the key field. Then scroll down, erase the placeholder for the prompt and also the placeholder for the URLs. Now go to the input side and look in the merge node. There you will see the description fields, but it is important to take the description under front so that we generate the front view. Drag and drop it in, and then look into image URLs to find the image URLs, which you then also just drag and drop into the right spot. As the last step here, execute this node and wait for the output, then return to the canvas. Here, search for another HTTP node, add it, and rename it to Check Front Status. Under Import curl, paste in the snippet from the Google Docs. For the URL, simply drag in the status underscore URL from the left side. For the key, do the same as last time. Remove the placeholder, go to Settings, find the API key, and drag it in. Once all fields are set, execute this node and wait for the status output, then go back to the canvas. Now search for a wait node, add it, go inside, and change the time to 2 seconds. After adjusting the time, execute the step and wait briefly until the node completes, then return to the canvas. Now we need an if node. Add it to the workflow, go into it, and rename it to completed front. In the conditions field, we need the status. So look on the input side for status and drag and drop it. In the other condition field, type completed in all caps. Now go back to the canvas, connect the completed front node to the check front status node and click execute workflow. Here you will again need to provide your example inputs because pinned data cannot store binary data. After starting the workflow, wait until the workflow finishes completely. Once finished, search for another HTTP node, add it, and name it Get Front View. Go into the Google Docs and get the curl for this node just like before. Back in n8n, click Import curl, paste it in, and import. Under URL, drag and drop the response from the previous node. The key part is the same. Remove the placeholder, go to Settings, find the API key, drag it in. When everything is set, execute this step and wait for the output of the front view request, then return to the canvas. We are nearly finished. Now we want to output only the URL. Search for a set node, add it, go into it, and rename it to Get Front View URL. Add a new field and call it front underscore view underscore URL. On the input side, find the generated URL and drag it into the value field. After adding the field, execute the step and wait for the URL to appear. Once it's finished, copy the URL, paste it into your browser, and you should see the created front view of the picture. Now go back to n8n. We now want to get the other views. Therefore, copy these 6 nodes and paste them below the original ones. Connect them to the settings node. Also rename all the nodes so instead of having front, they now refer to back. Important. In the first node of these 6, go in and change the prompt. For example, for the back view, use the back prompt. Therefore, go on the left side into merge, search for back, and drag and drop it in. Go back to the canvas and go into the last node of that section. Here, change the name of the field to back underscore view underscore URL. After renaming and adjusting, execute the step and wait for the back URL output, then return to the canvas. Repeat this same process 2 more times for left and right. Once you have all 4 views, search for a merge node, add it, and connect all 4 different view outputs to it. Go into the node and set mode equals combine, and set combine by equals position. Then return to the canvas. Now we want to create the actual 3D image based on the different images. To do this, search for an HTTP node and add it to the workflow. Name this node, create 3D model, so it is clear what its purpose is. After naming it, click Import curl, and then import the matching curl command from the Google Docs. Since we now need to obtain the image URLs from the previous node, run the workflow again. Upload all your required images and submit them. Wait for the workflow to finish processing so the output URLs become available. Pin the data of the 4 create images so you don't have to run them again. Then, once the workflow has completed, return to the HTTP node. First, enter your API key in the appropriate place. Now scroll down to the section where the request fields are located. Here you must add the correct URLs one by one. For example, when you see front image URL, insert the front view URL collected from the previous node's output. Repeat the same process for all 4 image fields so that each one has the correct matching URL. After completing these fields, go back to the canvas. At this point, you need to copy the same set of 5 nodes, paste them into the workflow, and connect them to the 3D model node. Once connected, rename each of these nodes so that their names clearly indicate they are part of the 3D process. In the very last node in this group, first execute the step so we get the input data, which we need to get the correct URL. Rename the final URL field to 3D_model_URL so it is easy to identify later. And also delete this URL and just drag and drop this one from the input side. When all renaming is done, return once again to the canvas. For the final step, search for a form node, add it to the workflow, and select form ending. Inside this node, choose Show Text. Then open the Google Docs, copy the provided text snippet, return to n8n, and paste the snippet into the text field of this form node. Now you can execute this last step. Give it a moment while the 3D model is being created. When the generation is complete, a website should appear, showing the 3D model fully processed and ready for viewing.
And here's the bonus. Instead of using the multi-free to 3D AI model, we can also use the image to 3D generator from ByteDance. I noticed this one gives much better results in some use cases, but it has some crucial downside like I mentioned. This model takes only one image as the input and gives me based on that an output. But I noticed in a lot of use cases, this output is much better than from this model. I want to give you a short example. I provided this model only this one image and created this nice looking 3D model. But like you can see, for example, this view looks perfectly, but when we rotate it, here's some parts missing, and here's the downside. Since we can provide only one view, the rest is out of our control what we can provide. But like you can see, it's actually pretty good, and I notice this in many use cases, this gives you already really good results. So keep that in mind that there are also different 3D models out there that you should definitely try and check out. And this is what we are discussing in the school community, which model is the best for which use cases. Here we share our experience and thoughts. But now let's talk about pricing. Here we basically compare the main workflow we just built and the alternative workflow I just showed you. So the main workflow consists of 2 stages, the Nano Banana part and the multi-view to 3D model part. The cost is between 33 cents to 83 cents per run. In a minute, I will explain you in detail why. The alternative model is actually cheaper because it only costs 33 cents per run, since we don't need to generate images for it. Alright, let's go into the detail about the main flow cost structure. So the Nano Banana processing costs us 12 cents per image when we use Nano Banana Pro. But we also have an alternative. We could also possibly use Nano Banana Normal and it will cost only 2 cents per image. So you can easily reduce the cost of this main workflow. You just need to make sure that Nano Banana Normal is working for your use case. Then the next cost we have is the multi-free to 3D model. In this example, we use the standard texture that costs us 30 cents per run. But actually, you also have more options to enhance the styling. If you choose one of these options, it costs you additionally 5 cents per run. So the total comes to 33 cents when we use Nano Banana Pro, or 43 cents when we use Nano Banana Normal. And by the way, it's super easy to switch. You just double click here and remove the Pro. And this way you can switch the models. Alright, now let's look at the alternative workflow. Here the price is fixed at 33 cents per image that we provide, and we can only provide one image. And this is the limitation actually. The quality is mostly better, so we have a better output. So the key here is you need to do a lot of AI testing so you can find the optimal workflow for your specific product type, because the performance can vary significantly. So the strengths are fixed price, better quality, it's simple, and it's more consistent across the outputs, since we don't have the Nano Banana part, which can also give you undeterministic outputs. So the limitations are we can only provide one image, so a lot of details might be missing. We don't know yet. and the quality depends heavily on the product, so it does not work for all products. And here's a total overview of what we just discussed. So I recommend to do heavy testing to know exactly what you need. Alright, now let's talk about how you can package it for a client. So your biggest advantage is most businesses don't know this tech exists. They judge it by one thing, speed. So what you can offer is a fast and affordable service. So your offer is basically you turn any single product photo into a clean 3D model in minutes. And if they provide you more than a single photo, then you can even have better 3D models. No Photoshop required or any complex software. This is both good for you and for the client. And your biggest advantage is you can quickly demonstrate the value. So you can easily provide the before and after, so you can immediately prove your skill and your offer. So how can you price it? The best pricing model is that you charge a small setup fee and a price per model. So you charge the client a small upfront setup fee for them, where you tell them you need to do this to quickly analyze their shop, for example, when it's an e-commerce store, and then you charge them per model that they want. The simple pricing can range from $49 to $99 per model that you provide. This offer is good because it's easy to say yes, it's a small upfront investment, plus it gives you a steady income. For example, if it's an e-commerce store, they usually consistently add more and more products, so you also need to provide more and more models. And you even can provide as a subscription model where you charge the customer a fixed fee per month, and in this fixed fee are some generations included. For example, let's say you charge the client $500 per month, and for that he receives 30 models a month. Could be a fair price. The better you understand the business from your clients and how much they gain from your service, the better you can charge them. Because clients are paying for the outcome and not for the work involved, actually. Alright, we have now the offer. Now the question is, how do we get the clients? And the simple strategy is to follow these 4 simple steps. First, you need to build a list of e-commerce stores. You can do that by Googling it manually, each store with keywords. Or what I would personally recommend is to build an automation that scrapes Google Maps for these e-commerce stores that you need. Next, you go to those e-commerce stores and check out which are their best sellers. There are a few simple tricks, especially for Shopify, to find that quickly out. Once you have these best sellers, you create for 1 or 2 best sellers a 3D model using this generator. And next is you send a personalized pitch. And it's pretty easy. Don't make it too long, too complicated, or so. Just a simple thing. You say, I made this 3D models from one of your product photos. Let me know what you think. And you just provide them the 3D model. You also tell them, if you want the rest of your catalog in 3D, I can handle it fast. So will everybody reply to you? No. Will some people reply to you? Yes. So once people reply to you, you set up a call with them, ask them about their goals, and make sure that you can fulfill them. And then you close the deal. Why the strategy works? It gives the prospect a direct value upfront, so they see the results immediately. It's personalized and you can scale it. And you directly prove your skill with a short demo. You might think now, oh no, but I have to spend for these prospects all the time, the 3D generations, and they might not even reply to me. Yes, this is right, but every strategy where you acquire a customer costs money. You need to get the leads. This usually costs you money. You need to contact them. So if you're a cold caller, for example, you waste your time. Or if you're somebody who makes it more personalized like this way, you waste credits in some points. But as long as you make the numbers work, you have a profitable, nice business. The key here is to find the right niche that you can serve. Find the customers who see the value. Once you identify the right customers, you can focus more on them and even make paid ads. And the paid ads is what enables you to have a growing, stable business. And if you want to learn more about AI automation and business, make sure to join my school community.